Hi guys, Fernandes Lembo, the playoff edition. Once again, the regional final edition.
And we're a day early because of the holiday.
And we're a day early, so early. Happy Tea Day.
Yes.
To everybody out there.
Yes.
John, 18-team side of the year. We got 2 teams left, Charlotte and Braden River. Let's just jump right into the games.
Sure.
We got Charlotte at Naples, 12-0 versus 10-1 Naples. You know, usually there's a couple of similarities here. I actually talked to Coach Kramer, the Naples coach, yesterday. I gave him a call on the phone. He's been there 18 years, and Binky's been at Charlotte 17 years. So I asked him, I said, well, you guys got to be friends. And he said, you know, Binky's first game at Charlotte, which was 1999, the very first game was against me. So he looked, and by that time, Bill was in his second year at Naples, and it was Binky's first year. Really, a great tradition of excellence at Naples. Under Kramer, they've won 2 titles, had 1 runner-up, which is a little bit better than Charlotte. Charlotte's been, I didn't realize till looking it up, 8 straight years in the playoffs. They were in the regional finals for 3 years, 8-10. When you look at this game, both teams can score points, can defend. What do you see when you see this game?
It's interesting. Is it going to be a game where both defenses kind of take control or both offenses take control? I mean, as you mentioned, neither one of these teams has been stopped this year in terms of scoring points. The one game that Naples lost, week 1, 20-14 against American Heritage, which is a good team. So that's a tough barometer right there. But yeah, I mean, Naples has scored in the 60s twice. 3 times, I think, in the 50s twice. That's almost half their game. They scored at least 50 points. That's a lot of points. And we know what Charlotte's done. So, you know, it's either going to be like a big time like slugfest, or it's going to be a game where it's going to be, you know, maybe 21-14 or something. I kind of like Naples in this because the game's at Naples, and I think maybe their schedule's been a little tougher than Charlotte's, but I think it's going to be a tight game, and I'll be surprised if they clamp down on Charlotte offensively. I think Charlotte's going to score points. Will there be enough points to beat Naples, though? That's the question.
You know, I asked Coach Kramer, that was the next question. I said, well, when you look at it, you know, great offenses, great defenses. I says, do you anticipate a high-scoring affair, or do you expect both defenses to really clamp down? And he said over the phone, he says, I haven't the foggiest idea how this game is going to go. I don't know whether he was playing it close to the vest or he really doesn't know. I looked at a couple of the stats. Their quarterback, Kieran DiGiorno, not relation to the pizza guy, 19 touchdowns. I don't know. 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But then I look at how far they've run the ball. They've run for 2,500 yards, 49 touchdowns. Some guy named Carlin Fills Ami. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Carlin. He's rushed for 1,200 yards and 22 touchdowns. So could it be a situation, like you said, where the last team that gets the ball
it could
might
be.
Win this thing? And,
you know, both teams run the ball well. I mean, Elijah Mack having a great year for Charlotte. He scored 23 touchdowns on the ground, 25 overall. So it could be the case of what team plays keep away the best, what team keeps the other team's offense on the sideline. That could be maybe the best way to stop both of these teams. Don't let them on the field. You know, keep Brandon Sims and Charlotte on you know, the sideline. Keep, you know, Naples on the sideline. That could be the best way. I don't see too many 3 and outs in this game. I see it where the defense that gets the other team's offense off the field more, that's going to help. And
of course, I said to Coach, I said obviously turnovers might come into play here.
Right. If you give, you give any one of these teams short field, you know, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Like as Port Charlotte saw in the first game.
They
gave
up five turnovers.
They were beaten by 50 points. You know, the game should be good when you get to this point in the season, but you're absolutely right. I look at both of these teams. I really can't decide which one to pick. I think the fact maybe it's at home at Naples backyard,
that could help Naples
maybe worth
a
couple of points. Binky's done a great job, but if you have to,
phenomenal.
If you have to pick me, ask me to pick, I got to go with Naples.
Like I said, maybe by a touchdown, but I think it's going to be. That really is a head scratcher. It really is, and you know, I think if you go into that game, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to see, and you're going to see some, at least from what I've seen. To me, if you got this far, you got to play some defense too. You can't outscore everybody. So you're going to see, I think, 2 really fun football teams, and I think you're going to see guys you might see on Saturdays in a couple of years on both sides.
I agree, and it's going to be a good dichotomy because both teams are used to doing what they want. Now they're going to face an opponent where maybe they go 3 and out 2 or 3 times. How do they react to going to, you know?
It's like a punch in the mouth, like the famous phrase, but everyone has a plan to like a punch in the mouth. What kind of plan do you have if you go 3 and out, like 2 series in a row?
It's like, well, I'm not used to this.
You got to roll right back.
So that's going to be a fun game for the fans, whether you like offense or defense. Now you're going to the other game in the area.
I am.
Braden River at Plant City, 12-0 versus 11-1. As you wrote and has been written a couple of times, Plant City, a great story. They were under 500. First playoff win since 1999. They've never been to a regional final against a Braden River team that seems to be rolling. How do you kind of look at this game right now?
This is a kind of a tough one too because it's rarefied air for both teams. Braden Rivers hasn't been in a regional final either, even though Plant City's been playing longer than Braden River has. I think Braden Rivers playing really well. I mean, obviously Plant City has some weapons. T.J. Chase, Tavares Chase, their receiver, was an IMG last year, went back to Plant City. He's a Clemson commit, has over 24 Division I offers. They have a good running back. I think I got to go with Braden River in this one, even though the game's in Plant City. I think Braden River's playing, really, really well right now on both sides of the ball. They're confident. I mean, to shut out a Venice team who saw you a few weeks earlier, that's impressive. That's impressive. And I just think right now Braden River's playing really, really well. And I think if they play the game they play the last few weeks, they're going to move on.
I think Braden River's a little battle test. I just quickly looked at the district results of the teams that Plant City had to beat. Very, very mediocre district. They went undefeated, but a lot of the teams were under 500. A couple of teams only had 2 wins on the season. And you look at Braden River having to go through Venice.
Right.
I think they're
Twice.
a little more battle tested. And you're right. I was at the Braden River game last week, and the way they just put the clamps on Indians allowed Kurt Bradley, the head coach, to call a relatively easy game, not take too many chances, because your defense is just stifling your opponent out there.
And I like their system. Coach Bradley's a defensive coordinator. Coach Sanders runs the offense. And I think they both have great game plans. Their game plan against Palmetto defensively earlier in the year was great in terms of just stopping the running game and making them go out of 3rd and long. I think Braden River, like I said, they're playing really, really well right now. If they go out and they play the same, Jacob Huseman, their quarterback, to me, he typifies the team they are. He's very steady. He's very consistent. He's not the flashiest guy in the world. Doesn't make many mistakes. If they go out and they play that kind of football, very steady, very consistent, very smart, which they've done all season long, I think they win on Friday.
Yeah, they're not missing Raymond Thomas at running back. They don't seem to be missing him.
Right, they got 3 good running backs back there, yeah.
And watching the way Jacob Huseman, the passes he completes, they're very high percentage throws that they have him making.
Right.
It's easy on him. Easy on the receiver, and it just makes the confidence grow as the game goes on. Obviously, as you're completing more passes.
Right.
So, assuming that Braden River wins, that means, do they take on Aquinas? Do they host, assuming that Aquinas?
Aquinas plays Mater Academy.
Right.
I think the game will be at Braden River. Again, I'm sorry, Braden River fans, what are you looking ahead for? What are you doing? Why are you looking so forward? But, yeah, I think that game would be at Braden River. Not sure about Charlotte. If they win, where would they be, home or away? It all depends on what side of the bracket you're on. Actually, the hosts for the semifinals are decided before the season starts. It's all based on what region you are.
Sure.
Remember a few years ago when Manatee beat Aquinas in Bradenton, Manatee was runner-up that year in the district. But because Region 3 hosted, it was at Manatee. So when you get to the semifinals, that's all predetermined. But I think last time I looked, Braden River would be home if they won on Friday, and not sure about Charlotte.
But 2 good games happening Friday night.
Yep.
Hopefully next week we'll be here to talk about 2 teams moving on to the state Final Four.
Yeah, we'll see. If not, maybe we'll start talking about the winter sports they're starting up too.
Yeah, we have to change on the grid to off the court.
We'll put some snowflakes back there and stuff. Get really seasonal.
Anything to usher in the winter season.
Anything.
But we hope the two local teams do well tomorrow, Charlotte and Braden River. Hopefully we'll be talking
Friday,
about them
we
next
should
week.
say. Yeah.
Friday, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Happy Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Same as you, sir.
John. And for John Lembo, I'm Doug Fernandes, and we'll see you next week on the Grid.